Hey guys, welcome to today's reading lesson. On your piece of paper, this is what you're going to write at the top, and don't forget to write your name. I want to see who's writing the piece of paper, so we got to have your name, and then what we're doing today, which is our subject, our reading is our subject, and then today's date should be on there, 5/6/20. So go ahead and take a minute to write this at the top of your paper next to your name. And you can pause the video if you need more time because we're about to start the first part of our lesson. Okay, so now that you're done writing your name and then the title of our video, we're going to figure out which of these words are correct. These are words with short vowels. So on your paper, let's go ahead and write for number 1. So put number 1 on your paper. I want you to think about what this is a picture of and which of these words is correct. So I want you to take a minute, sound out the word. You can sound it out on your arm if you need to. Just think about what the letter sounds are. And then once you figure out which word is correct that matches the picture, you are going to write that word on your piece of paper. So for number 1, I'm going to do the first one with you, but the other 3 you're going to do all by yourself, okay? So for number 1, which is right here, make sure you have a 1 on your paper. Which of these is correct? Let's sound them out. Y, a, k, yak. All right, so that says yak. And I'm pretty sure that's a picture of a yak, but let's make sure. What does this word say? Ul, I, p. Ul, I, p. Lip, lip. All right, and is that a picture of a lip? No, that's not a picture of a lip. That's a picture of a yak. So on your paper, next to number 1, write the word yak. Y-A-K, yak. And at this time, I'm not going to walk you through every single one. You just need to pause the video, write 2 on your paper, figure out which word is correct for number 2, and then do the same thing for 3 and 4. So go ahead, take this moment and pause the video because in a couple seconds, I'm going to move on to our reading lesson. So pause the video, finish number 2, 3, and 4. And when you're done, you can unpause the video. All right, so you should be completed, or you should have this whole sheet of paper completed now. For number 1, you should have the word yak. 2, you should have one of these words that matches this picture. 3, same thing, got to pick out which word is correct. And 4, I hope you figured out which of these was correct. So think about what he was doing right here. What was he doing? All right, so let's go ahead and move on to our reading lesson today. Here we go. All right, and you should have already written reading and then today's date, so I'm going to go ahead and erase that. Okay, so today's story is called Birds Build Big. Now, the last couple of stories that we were reading about how the camel got his hump and how I think it was a rhino, how he got his skin, those were definitely fiction stories, right? Those are pretty fake, not real. Those are fiction stories. And you can kind of tell then it's a fiction story because it's usually a cartoon or it sounds like something that maybe isn't possible in the real world. Now, this story, I'm thinking it might be a nonfiction story, a true story. So maybe you'll think the same thing and you'll agree with me because there's a lot of facts in the story. There's a lot of real facts in it. A lot of the pictures you'll notice are not cartoons. They're actual photographs taken in real life. So that's another way we can figure out if something is nonfiction, meaning if it's true or not. So let's listen to our story. Birds Build Big by Amy Kraft. Have you ever been in an apartment building? It is a big building with many small homes inside of it. So this is a picture of an apartment building. Some of you might live in an apartment. There's a bunch of little homes inside of one big building. So have you ever been inside of an apartment building? Some birds make nests this way too. They are called weaver birds. So this picture has a label. It says weaver bird nest. So this is a picture of a weaver bird nest. It looks very large. Weaver birds live in the desert in Africa. Those little birds build big nests. More than 400 birds might live in one nest. So keep that in mind. It's not just a small nest that you see in any tree. This is a big nest. And it can hold like 400 birds, possibly. That's a lot of birds in one nest. Each bird family has its own room. The birds make tunnels to connect the rooms. The nest is like an apartment complex, an apartment building. So just like an apartment building where it's one big building with a bunch of different little homes, this weaver nest is just like that. This nest has many small rooms inside it. Very cool. Weaver birds work together. They use straw to make a nest. The birds stuff straw into the sides and bottom of the nest. This makes the nest bigger. The birds work on a nest for years. One nest might be as big as your classroom. Wow, imagine a bird's nest as big as our classroom at school. That's a huge nest. They can fit so many birds in it. Many weaver birds work together on a nest. A big nest protects weaver birds and their eggs. Snakes and hawks want to eat the eggs. The sharp, spiky straw in the big nest keeps them away. Okay, so it looks like because the nest is so big and it's made of straw, it helps protect from other animals eating the bird's eggs. So that's good that they made it so that it was protective and everything. The spiky straw keeps the snake out. The big nest makes shade that keep the birds cool. Feathers and grass in each room keep the birds warm. Rain runs off the slanted roof. The birds stay dry. Weaver birds know how to work and live together. They know how to build big. There's a picture of one right there. A big nest protects weaver birds. And notice they said it was a slanted roof. So if rain falls down on the roof, it just kind of falls right off because it's slanted. That's kind of why our homes have slanted roofs. So the water can just run off the side. All right, so you're gonna have to answer some of these questions on your own. I wanna see how well you do answering these. So number one, I know you wrote some other answers on your paper from the last reading activity we did. Just go ahead and take your pencil and draw a straight line to separate the two. So you want to do this on your paper underneath all of your other answers that you just did, because we're going to have a new question number one. And how about for our new section, we name it the name of the story. So let's look at back at the title. You might want to pause the video for just a second to write this title on your paper before you write all your answers. Birds build big. So pause your video and take a minute to write Birds build big. That is our title, Birds build big. All right, let's go to question number one. Okay, number one. So you should have a number one on your paper. Let's figure out, is it going to be A, B, or C? All right. What are inside both a weaver bird nest and an apartment building? So, there's a weaver bird nest and there's an apartment building. What do they both have inside of them? A, many people, B, weaver birds, or C, small homes? Okay, so we got to figure out what both a weaver bird nest and an apartment building have inside of them. Does a weaver bird nest have many people inside of it? Probably not, because it's for birds. Does a weaver bird nest have weaver birds in it? Yes. But does an apartment building have many birds in it? Weaver birds? No. Apartment buildings just have many people. So it has to be, what does both have in common? The weaver bird nest and apartment building has what inside of it? Do they both have small homes inside of it? Well, apartment buildings do have small homes, and so do weaver birds' nests. They have a lot of small little homes. So I think we figured out the answer for number one, didn't we? I think it's going to be C, small homes. So you should write C on your paper next to question number one, C. All right, let's do number two. I'm going to let you do this one all by yourself. How many birds live in a weaver bird nest? So think about how large the weaver bird nest is and think about how many birds live inside of the nest. So this is question number two. How many birds live in a weaver bird nest? So A has a picture of just one bird, B has a picture of a bunch of birds, and C has a picture of just two birds. So which of those pictures, A, B, or C, shows us how many birds could possibly live inside of a weaver bird nest? So you want to put A, B, or C on your paper for number two. Is the answer A, just one bird, B, a bunch of birds, or C, just two birds? So how many birds can live in a weaver nest? All right, you should have wrote your answer down already. Let's go to number three. How do weaver birds build their nests? Okay, so how do weaver birds build their nests? For number three, is it A, weaver birds work alone? B, weaver birds work together? C, weaver birds work in classrooms? Well, we already know that weaver birds don't work in classrooms. They did mention that a nest might be as large as a classroom, but the weaver birds don't work inside of a classroom, so it's definitely not C. Do weaver birds work alone or do they work together? Do you remember what the story said? Do you think they build these all by themselves, just one bird works on this huge nest? Or do you think a lot of birds work together? I believe the answer is B. So if you put B, good job. Weaver birds work together, B. So number three, you should have B. All right, number four. What makes the nest a safe place for weaver birds? All right, so which of these three things makes the nest a safe place for weaver birds to live? Is it A, the nest is made with sharp, spiky straw? B, the nest has many eggs inside of it? C, the nest is home for hundreds of birds? Okay, so some of these things are true, but we're just trying to figure out what makes the nest a safe place for weaver birds. Which of these things makes it safe for them to live there? Maybe think about which of these answers helps keep other bad animals that want to eat them away. So which of these things would help protect the nest? A, the nest is made with sharp, spiky straw. B, the nest has many eggs inside of it. Or C, the nest is home for hundreds of birds. So I'll let you figure out what answer that is. Which of those helps protect the weaver birds? All right, let's go to number 5. All right, so write on your paper number 5. We just did number 4, so now we're on 5. How does the nest keep weaver birds dry? A, the nest makes shade. B, the nest has feathers. Or C, the nest has a roof. How does the nest keep weaver birds dry? Which of these things helps keep them dry? The nest makes shade. Okay, so the nest will make shade underneath it, but that doesn't help keep it dry, does it? The nest has feathers. Okay, so even if it had feathers, that's not going to keep it dry because feathers can get wet. And we want to see, like, how does the nest keep weaver birds dry? So there's little birds inside of it. What's keeping them from getting all wet? Or is it C, the nest has a roof? Well, what keeps you dry when it's raining outside? Your roof does, right? So it's the same thing for weaver birds. They stay dry because they have a roof on their nest. So the answer is C. The nest has a roof. Five is C. And we're going to go to number 6 now. All right, let's figure out what is the text, or what is the whole text mostly about? So we're trying to figure out what the main idea of our whole text is about. What is it mostly about? Go ahead and say it out loud, what you think the whole story was mostly about. Okay, so their options are for what the whole text is mostly about, and that's what the main idea is. A, weaver birds learn to live in the desert. B, weaver birds like living in apartments. Or C, weaver birds build and live in big nests. Which of these was the story mostly about? I'll read them one more time. What was the story mostly about? What is the whole text mostly about? A, weaver birds learn to live in the desert. B, weaver birds like living in apartments. Or C, weaver birds build and live in big nests. Which one is the story mostly about? What is our main idea? Go ahead and put it. Is it A, B, or C? Okay, if you wrote down your answer, then you are done. I'll read the answers one more time right here. What is the whole text mostly about? For number 6. A, weaver birds learn to live in the desert. B, weaver birds like living in apartments. C, weaver birds build and live in big nests. So which of those is the story mostly about? All right, so you are all done. You should have an answer for all of these questions. If you need help or anything, you can ask a grown-up, but you can always rewind this video and listen to it again if you need to. So if you forgot to write something, you can rewind the video and start it all over and listen to the story again, and then get your answers for all of them. I can't wait to see what answers you put for all of your questions. But that's everything. So I'll see you guys later at another meeting that we have on Zoom. All right, bye guys.